Ah, Suffolk, another gem in PA Eastern's region. You've got Great Yarmouth here, with its miles of big sandy beaches, amusement arcades and funfair rides. Just don't step back from the main strip because it looks like the third world, a bit like when you go to Blackpool. You've also got Kelsey, the medieval village, and also the most easterly point of England, unfortunately blighted by a wind turbine. Then you've got Shingle Street, a lovely isolated beach in Suffolk, and Woolpit, which I did a video on a couple of years ago, so I don't need to repeat myself. It was also home to the very first radar station in the world, and also the home to Steve Wright, no, not from Radio 2, but the man who made Ipswich sound more exciting than it was when he became the Suffolk Strangler in the mid-2000s. But anyway, let's look at some of the weirder stories from Suffolk. The small coastal village of Orford is the location of the bizarre tale of the man who came from the sea. The story goes that in the 12th century, fishermen felt a really heavy weight in their nets, and when they eventually managed to drag them from the sea, they found a hairy, naked and bedraggled man. He was a mute, making only grunts and cries, and had no knowledge of the Bible or the land. Was he some waster from Caister, or was he something else? The fisherman took the wild man to Orford Castle, where he was imprisoned and fed a diet of raw fish. While some thought that he could be a ghost of a drowned sailor, many speculated that he was indeed a merman. And of course, when taken to swim in the water, he escaped again, never to be seen. Now, if you go to the Church of St Bartholomew in Orford today, you can still see a small stone wildman at the base of the font. The coastal village of Dunwich had been exposed to a large degree of coastal erosion throughout the years, which has resulted in what once was a large city the size of London diminishing as much of it crumbled into the sea, leading the village to be dubbed Britain's Atlantis. Towards the end of the 1300s particularly, ferocious storms wiped out around 400 homes and 2 churches, and it is still said on that stormy nights the frantic ringing of the church bells can still be heard emanating from the waters. A few years ago, Southampton University did some research there and came up with these images using technology, I don't know how, showing what is still underneath the sea. Now, if you're an alien trying to find intelligent life, of course you're going to come to the eastern region, because you won't find none in Yorkshire. Known as Britain's own Roswell incident, and with some surprising parallels, the Rendlesham Forest incident is a mystery for anyone with an interest in the UFOs. In December 1980, locals were alarmed to see several unexplained lights in the sky descending into RAF Woodbridge. Servicemen initially thought the lights were due to a downed aircraft, but when they entered the area to investigate, they were startled to see what they described as a glowing object, metallic with coloured lights. The object moved and sent nearby farm animals into a frenzy. The craft disappeared before police arrived, and there were no other corroborating witnesses. In the following days, servicemen returned to the spot and discovered small triangular impressions on the ground, as well as burn marks, broken tree branches, and a higher than average radiation reading. Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt recorded his first-hand experience of finding the unidentified flying object in these tapes.
Okay, we're now approaching what looks like a blasted or scrubbed up area here. There's a round abrasion on the tree about 3.5 4 inches diameter, 3.5 feet off the ground. One of these trees that face into the blast, what we assume is a landing site, all have an abrasion facing in the same direction towards the center. We get a high reading. What does that mean? We are getting an indication of a heat source coming out of that center spot. Looks like heat or some form of energy. There it is. Hey, I see it too. What is it? We don't know, sir. Is there some type of strange flashing light ahead? It is definitely coming this way. Pieces of it are shooting off. There is no doubt about it. This is weird. Now we're observing what appears to be a beam coming down to the ground. This is unreal.
The official explanation was that it was a lighthouse causing the lights. Of course, that makes sense. So, take a visit to Rendlesham if you really want to, and let me know what you think of it. St Peter's Church in Wrestleton is home to an eerie myth that will send a shiver down your spine, and something you definitely need to try and let me know how you get on. Built around 1340, St Peter's has been plagued with bad luck throughout the years, with its spire collapsing in a storm and the replacement being hit by a bomb in the war we never needed to win. This could be in no small part to the suspected presence of the devil himself, whom locals believe lives beside the church in a small grating to the right of the priest's door. As well as this, the churchyard contains the Witch's Stone, a flattened gravestone from the 14th century over which grass has never grown. If you dare, you should place a handkerchief in the grate and then, using the Witch's Stone as a base, run 7 times anti-clockwise around the church without looking back at the grate. If you do this correctly, it's said the handkerchief will have disappeared and you will hear Satan's chains rattling beneath the church. Go on, give it a go. I would, but I'm just not there. Well, that's enough for now. Let me know in the comments how you got on, if you try any of them, or if you've ever been to these places. Until next time, ta-ta for now. Now if you enjoyed this video and thought it's slightly less shit than the others, you can always buy us a cuppa on Ko-fi, and thank you in advance if you do.